Approximately a month ago, a post on Reddit claimed that the blue normal SMG was better than the gold compact SMG. In that post, he referred to the fire rate of the blue SMG as the main factor in it being better. If you'd like to read the full Reddit post, I will put a link to it in the description, but let's go ahead and determine for ourselves which one is better. Real quick, before I break everything down, I'd like to say that if you buy skins in Fortnite and would like to support me for no additional charge, you can do so by using my code FLAMMINATOR. Every 2 weeks, this resets as well, so if you were previously supporting me, make sure that you re-enter my code or another creator's code if you'd like to support another creator. If you don't buy V-Bucks, don't worry about it because you being here and watching is more than enough support already. Now onto the video, let's take a look at the blue SMG and the compact SMG's in-game stats. First thing to notice is the damage difference. The gold compact SMG does 2 damage more per shot than the blue SMG. Next we have the fire rate difference. The blue SMG fires 2 bullets per second faster at 12 bullets per second, while the compact SMG fires 10 bullets per second. Then we have the magazine sizes. The compact SMG used to have a magazine size of 50, but that got nerfed and it now has a magazine size of 40, which is still 10 bullets more than the magazine size of 30 for the blue normal SMG. Then we have the reload speeds. The blue SMG has the faster reload speed, taking 2.2 seconds compared to the gold compact SMG's reload speed of 3 seconds flat. Now the final thing you'll notice when comparing these two weapons is their DPS, which stands for damage per second. This number is pretty misleading though, because all it is multiplying the damage of the weapon by the fire rate, but what it doesn't take into consideration is the long-term reload speed and magazine size effects. So right here are these two weapons with what I call extended damage per second. I calculated this by taking how long it took both of these weapons to fire 840 bullets combined with the number of the times they needed to reload and how long those reloads took. I then took the total damage and divided it by the total time, which gave me this extended damage per second. This gives us a much better insight into how the difference in reload speed, magazine size, damage, and fire rate affect these two weapons. So as you can tell, these weapons are extremely similar in their long-term damage per second. So if you're in an extended battle with a good player or multiple players and you're constantly having to destroy their builds and reload your SMG, then both of these weapons are going to be nearly identical in their potential damage output. The next thing we need to compare with these two weapons are their accuracy. Right here we have the normal SMG and compact SMG when aiming down sights and strafing. As you can tell, the compact SMG is pretty substantially more accurate. And the same thing goes for when you hip fire these two weapons while strafing. As you can see, the compact SMG is the more accurate weapon. Now that we have the main information laid out, let's look at one of the points made in the Reddit article, which is that since the blue SMG fires faster, it is more likely to hit an opponent who is turtling. Turtling is the phrase for when someone is sitting inside of a box and is holding down turbo build in order to block oncoming shots. Now while this is 100% true, we have to look at why it is true in order to understand how big of an impact it is. Turbo building, which is a setting you can enable in Fortnite, allows you to hold down the trigger and builds will place automatically. What is technically happening here is that the game is registering clicks for you. So every second that you hold down the fire button, Fortnite is registering 20 clicks, which is a click every 5/100ths of a second. Right here is a visual representation to give you a better understanding of what's happening. At 0 seconds marked by the crosshairs, this is where you destroy a turtling opponent's build. At 5/100ths of a second we have Sonic, which represents turbo building, which would be when the turtling opponent would place another build down. At 83,000ths of a second we have how long it takes to fire the normal SMG after previously fired the bullet at 0 seconds in order to destroy the structure, and at 1/10th of a second we have how long it would take the compact SMG to fire again after it just destroyed the structure. Now depending on how turbo building is coded, it could be even faster than 5/100ths of a second. If the game is simply registering 20 clicks every second, then it's possible that the click happens shortly after the build is destroyed. For instance, here we have Sonic moving along representing clicks. Once the build is destroyed, the game registers its click and you are able to place a build even faster than 5/100ths of a second. However, if turbo building was coded so that it simply had a cooldown of 5/100ths of a second when placing down a piece of material in an open space, then the time would remain 5/100ths of a second every single time, which if I had to put my money on, I would bet that that is how it is coded. But that is not information that I personally have accessible to me, so just know that at the very least, turbo building happens every 5/100ths of a second. So in theory, you should never be able to sneak in a bullet on a turtling opponent, because turbo building would always block it before you had the opportunity to fire again. But if you've played Fortnite for any amount of time, you'll know that this simply isn't the case, and you are often able to sneak bullets into turtling opponent players. The reason you are able to do this is because of server latency. This can be caused by multiple factors, such as the tick rate of Fortnite, which is how often information is sent to the server, as well as the ping of you and your opponent. So although turbo building does always happen at least 5/100ths of a second, the time in which it registers in the online server can be much longer due to the added latency. For instance, let's say that the turtling player has an additional 6/100ths of a second of added latency. So if you take the initial 5/100ths of a second of turbo building combined with the 6/100ths of a second, that means that it would take 11/100ths of a second for turbo building to register, meaning that both the blue SMG as well as the compact SMG would be able to sneak in a bullet. But what if the server latency was 4/100ths of a second? That would put the time required for these servers to register the new placed piece of material at 9/10ths of a second, which means that in that specific situation, if you were using a compact SMG, you wouldn't have been able to sneak in a bullet. However, if you were using a normal SMG in the same exact scenario, you would have been able to get a shot in before the opponent player's build would have registered in the servers, meaning you would have done damage to that player. Now, while it is possible for this to happen, it does take the most perfect of conditions, because the room for error is only 17,000ths of a second. It depends greatly on the connection of you, as well as the connection of each individual opponent you come up against. From my personal experience in testing this, I was able to get one bullet to sneak in consistently for both the normal SMG and the compact SMG, and from my overall experience in Fortnite, that is what I've come to expect most of the time. So while it is possible to sneak in a bullet with a normal SMG where you wouldn't with a compact SMG, the likelihood of it happening is pretty small. So to wrap it all up with taking all of the information presented in mind, which is the better weapon, the gold compact SMG or the blue normal SMG? For me, the winner is the gold compact SMG. Since both of these weapons have similar extended damage per second, I would personally prefer the weapon that has the larger magazine size, because in certain situations that extra 10 bullets can be the difference between you killing someone and someone killing you. The ability to have 10 extra bullets before you have to either disengage or potentially die is a really big factor. But the same argument can be made for the blue SMG, saying that if you run out of bullets, you're going to have a faster reload time, meaning you can re-engage quicker. The biggest overall factor for me though is that the gold compact SMG is significantly more accurate. With both of these weapons being back and forth and honestly very similar, that one advantage of being more accurate really makes the difference overall in my personal opinion. But it is just that, it's my personal opinion, so let me know what you guys personally think, whether you think the gold compact SMG is better or whether you think the blue SMG is the better option. Both of these have very good arguments for both of them. But anyway, that is all that I have for this video. I hope that the information provided was provided in a way that you guys could understand it. This was definitely a more technical video, so hopefully I presented it well. Thank you to all of you who have stuck around to this point in the video. If you're new here and you have not subscribed and you like this sort of content, feel free to do so, as this is what I do constantly on this channel. Thank you guys again, all of you who have supported my code on Fortnite. I truly do appreciate it. I think there's like 600 of you that have supported me, which is unreal to me. It's honestly, that is so many people. So thank you to all of you who have supported me, whether it be by watching my videos or also by supporting me on Fortnite. All of it is just incredible. So thank you, and I will catch you all in my next video.